month's webinar will be about innovators and investors coming together. So innovators meet investors. And one of the big challenges for startups in the fintech ecosystem is funding. And the purpose of this webinar is to start by allowing startups to understand what you need to do. How do you prepare yourself for funding? How do you make yourself attractive to investors? And at the same time, we have a couple of investors who will be speaking about funds that are available within the ecosystem here in Nigeria, local funds, and also offshore funds. And we have a couple of innovators who will be talking about pitching their products this afternoon. And we hope that some of them were able to go away today and get some investors say, look, we like your product, we'd like to invest in it. So without wasting time, I'd like to hand over to Sheung, who will be moderating today's session as we start, and we'll try and keep to time. Thank you very much and welcome.
So we're excited again to welcome everybody on this call. So the way we've structured the session today is that we're going to have a presentation by Mrs. Ashimi Tonbofa. She's the CEO of Tonbofa Law Firm. And essentially, she's just going to take us through, of course, a number of startups have complained that there are no funds in the ecosystem or where we could not access funds. But we know, honestly, that there are funds. But not many people are able to meet the stringent criteria set by the funders. So it's very important that we also run you through how do you position yourself, how do you set up yourself to meet the requirements. You know, COVID has even now made accessing funds a lot difficult. So startups must be strategic and, you know, must lean on experiences of individuals who can really help you navigate that path. And that's why we will be starting today's session with a presentation by Mrs. Tonbofa. She's had more than 18 years experience working in legal, nonprofit, and advocacy environments. And she is the founding member of AfriGrant Foundation, a leading women and girls empowerment foundation in Africa. So she's done a lot around, you know, empowering female gender, done a lot across continents, even in legal, nonprofit, and advocacy. And, you know, she has even worked with Olaniwa Ajayi Law Firm before, one of the, and building, you know, a bespoke law firm called Tonbofa Law Firm. So I'm quite pleased to, yield the floor to Mrs. Tonbofa as she runs us through what do fintechs or startups need to put in place to be able to make themselves attractive to funders. Having your product alone is not enough. There are governance and other criteria that you must, you know, meet to make sure you meet the criteria set up by the investors. So I will just cede the floor to you, Madam, to run us through this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheung. Good morning, everybody. So my name is Tonbofa Ashimi. And as Sheung said, I have been practicing for almost 2 decades now. And I'm the founder of a law firm called Tonbofa Law Practice. We used to be called Adenike Co. formerly. And we operate from Lagos, Abuja, and London. And generally, even without, you know, planning or deliberation, what we've generally done is a lot of development work in our history of operations. And so when I say development, we've generally worked on projects in Africa. We've worked either with the developer, so the project developer, be it as regards energy, as regards gas, as regards infrastructure development or technology, or we've represented the investor seeking to invest in a project. So from our offices in London, that's generally what we do. We work with global investors investing in projects in Africa. And so we understand the challenges from the shoes of a developer in Nigeria, in other African countries, what it really entails to get your project going. And we also understand what an investor looks for when they are seeking to invest in projects in Africa. And so it is from this point I will be speaking to you today. So just make you understand that, it's not just having a great idea that gets you going. There's so much you must put in place to scale up your idea into commercial viability. So first of all, you have this great idea, you're so excited about it, you think it can work. Good. What do you need to do? The next stage, you're not going to carry this idea as your person. You will need to have a vehicle which you can use to promote your idea, seek investors, take it out there. So in Nigeria, of course, we'll seek to register a company. Most people would register a company, probably a private limited company in CSC. And, the regular steps, you decide who your shareholders are. When you're registering a company, when you're a startup, you tend to just bring anybody in to be your shareholder, because previously you had to have at least 2 shareholders. The good thing is now with the CSC Act having been changed, 1 shareholder can register a company, and as well as you have 1 director. So you don't need to just bring anybody on board, because you need to have a good mindset. You see, in setting up your company, you're not just setting it up to earn a living the way we just normally set up a company and start. Your mindset has to look far ahead of how you are going to make income, how you're going to take that your product, whatever it is you've come up with, whatever it is that you've innovated, and make it commercially viable and make it work. We all know that in the wake of COVID, innovation is king. Everybody has realized that if you do not innovate, you certainly will die. Even the largest of companies have had to innovate. So there is value in innovative products today. Everyone's seeking to invest and promote innovation. As a country, as a general global network, investment is going into innovation. But every resource is scarce. And so you need to position yourself very well to ensure that you can get these resources. So your company, don't bring in anybody at the start that will be a problem to you later. Ensure that whomever you're bringing on board to register the company is one who has the same mindset as you have, and will be easier when you have to negotiate with other parties subsequently. And so after you've set up there, you must now understand who else is going to regulate your company in Nigeria. So depending on your idea, depending on what it is that the solution that you want to provide, you have to understand if you're going to be dealing with the CBN. And even if you're dealing with the CBN, if your product, if it's a fintech product and it also involves communication, telecommunication of some sort, then you probably have to deal with NCC as well. So you need to understand, based on whatever your product is, who is going to regulate your product. Now, the CBN has come up with so many different licenses in trying to categorize fintech products and in trying to, make it easier for people to access and test their fintech products. So you need to go to the CBN website and understand what license you would need to fall under. Now, the licenses also have capital requirements, ranging from 2 billion, 1 billion, you need 250 million. So that's huge. So you don't want to go and put yourself under a license that the capital requirement is so high, but you don't need to be there. So there has to be thorough understanding of the licenses available. And CBN has also come up with something that is called Regulatory Sandbox. Regulatory Sandbox allows you to test whatever your product is without meeting any capital requirement. So within a period, you can test your product, ensure it works, and then it would even help you at the time in which you're seeking investment, that you already have a proof of work, the fact that your product works. Because CBN will allow you, once you get a regulatory sandbox, to access whatever consumers, whatever platforms you require to be able to test your product within a controlled environment that CBN will provide. So it's actually a fantastic innovation by CBN to help generate innovation in Nigeria. Without the the baggage of you trying to put money down before you've even tested whatever product that you have. So understanding your licensing requirement, understanding where your product falls is absolutely key. After you've determined your licensing requirements, you need to understand who else would regulate you, because you must understand that at the point of seeking investors, you must have done your homework. No one's going to come and take you up from scratch and baby you. You must have put in some skin, and your skin in the game need not always be money. It must be even just analyzing your risks, mitigating your risks, and putting everything in place. So when the investor comes in and conducts their due diligence, they see you're ready, and then they are ready to determine, okay, this is where we're going to come in. And so, of course, it will help if in understanding your risks, you do help to reduce the amount of risk that the investor would take on when they come in. So are you going to be accessing data of ordinary people of any sort? Then you will need to comply with the Nigerian data protection regulations and put in place policies that would help you, would tell your investor, would tell your consumers how you would use their data. It's the absolute imperative that you comply with that, because there are penalties, and we all know that privacy infringement cases are everywhere in the world. Facebook has faced them, so of course, in starting up, you need to get that right and ensure that you have every policy required in place. You also need to mitigate your cybersecurity risks. If your platform is going to be online or anything, then you need to ensure that you've put in place various policies as regards cybersecurity. In doing all this, of course, many innovators will say that they would require money to do all this. And that is why you need venture capital to help you start up to do all this. So it's possible that you do all this before you get your first stage financing, or it's part of what you set out in your proposal for financing that you need to do. And depending on the kind of investor you get, you may get an investor that would help you to get all these things right. But you need to have the mindset and set out all these risks in place to show that you've done your homework, you're on top of your game. So after you've done your licensing, you've looked at all that, the next stage is your agreements, because I'm taking you through what an investor would need to look at in conducting its due diligence. Your agreements that are in place. So let's say you've innovated some software product, it's original to you. How are you going to protect your ownership rights? You need to now look into trademark rules. Do you get a trademark? Do you get a copyright? Do you patent your product? That is absolutely important, that you protect what you have, because quite frankly, that is all you have to sell. So you absolutely must look into how you must protect that right. An investor would want to see that. Then you need to understand what third-party agreements you're entering into at the place. And you need to be absolutely careful, because of the excitement of your product. Many innovators just go on and, they're excited that maybe they approach a traditional bank and they're excited that the bank is interested, and they enter into an agreement with the bank, just happy that someone believes in them. But then they tie themselves up unnecessarily and cannot exit. They give the bank too many rights that they need not have had to. So in signing whatever arrangements, you enter into with third parties, because it will be fantastic if you can get a third party agreement. Let's say you get a supplier agreement with a bank as a supplier client, or you enter into some kind of joint venture agreement with a bank. If your product is one that banks would need a platform facilitating payments or something for banks, you enter into a joint venture. It will be good because it will show your investor that there is interest in your product. There is market for it. So of course, it will make you more marketable. But in entering those agreements, be very careful of your terms. Be very careful of your exclusivity rights if you're granting any, Be very careful of ownership on data. Who would own the data of people accessing your platform? You know, do not just agree to everything. Ordinarily, you will need assistance with legal counsel at that point. So, you know, if you don't think you need legal counsel, then you need to be certain about the clauses that you must ensure protect you and protect what you have. So you're not selling off your rights unnecessarily. Also, your employment agreements are important. You know, you have staff that may have been, maybe you employ staff, you know, you're starting out. You have some people that, you know, they've agreed to work with you on very cheap basis. What are you giving them? What kind of rights are these people going to have over your product? Having contributed to your product, will they be able to claim ownership rights whatsoever? Are they going to be, they will have access to your trade secrets. Are you going to have signed restraints with them in their employment agreements? So, you know, your startup staff, clearly, you would want them to stay with you. So you need to ensure that whatever employment agreements you have with them from day one will not give them unnecessary rights over the product, except you're giving them shares in the company as well from the beginning. So that is a decision you must make as you start up. You know, the mindset you must have as starting up, as an aside, is the fact that I have a solution to a problem, and this is going to work. It's going to be big. It's going to solve people's problems. And from day one, I must begin to protect the rights I have over this product as regards the rights everybody else will have, you know. So think like that and begin to work like that in every arrangement you have. So once you've put all these third-party agreements in place, you've thought over everything, you may have been able to afford to do some, you may not be able to afford to tackle some, but you have actually written down a plan as regards how you will mitigate their risks coming up, then perhaps you are now ready to reach out to investors. So you have investors in all forms. You have investors that will come in at that early stage. Government grants money with their development finance institutions. You have corporate bodies that will come in through venture capital financing. Also, something innovators also do is to align themselves with a traditional bank. Perhaps you would enter into a merger with the bank. Maybe the bank is interested in your product and wants to acquire it. Or if not an outright acquisition, the bank wants to actually finance your product. So investors do that as well. And when you are entering into this agreement, you must understand that you have to still protect your rights. Because upon the financier coming, first of all, they will do this, they conduct the due diligence along the lines I have spoken on all the things I've said you must put in place. That's what the due diligence will be looking at. After that, you will now enter into your agreements with them. And so, of course, in entering into your financial agreements, you must have a plan before you even enter on what kind of rights you want to give to these financiers. If they are coming in as equity partners in your business, how much rights are they going to have over your business? How long will they be allowed to stay and to exit? I mean, most of these companies will have their own templates of what they will give, you know, and of course, as a startup, you may not have enough bargaining, negotiating power to be able to say no, but to an extent, you will be able to negotiate. So you must educate yourself in understanding, okay, where will these people be able to live? Am I going to give them what they call drag along rights? If they're exiting, can they drag me along to exit? What kind of thresholds are they going to have if they're going to allow to drag me to exit my business and sell everything I have to a third party? You know, would they be able to take over management at any point in time? You need to think of all these agreements, all these clauses as you enter into your agreements, your shareholders' agreements, your articles of associations with investors. So generally, you know, it's you just knowing that resources are scarce. It's you just knowing that everything you have, you need to protect from day one, and having a proper understanding, educating yourself, getting legal counsel when needed to be able to determine everything you want to put in place before you bring in third parties. And in order for you to be attractive for third parties to come in and invest in your idea or your business generally. So I'll stop there now. Thank you.
As a platform for capital formation, we are interested in growth for Nigeria and Africa. And we do a lot for established businesses. And of course, recently, we've also begun to look at this ecosystem of startups and how we can be part of the success stories of, this next generation of African unicorns. So my simple talk today would be about what we are doing to help these startups grow and scale, like they would love to. And let me thank Mrs. Ashimi for that very incisive talk on the things you need to look at as a startup. So straight to the point, the Nigerian Stock Exchange understands that if the metabolism, within your market is beyond the one that is within your company, your organization, you are sure to be disrupted. And looking around our market, we see a lot of metabolism within this space, this tech startup space. Just looking at the kind of funding that is coming and the kind of interest from foreign VCs, you see a lot happening there. And so we've also decided to play our part in supporting that community and that ecosystem. So first off, we have a growth board, right, that we launched sometime 2019. Just in case you have a problem with my intonation, growth is GRUWTH. So we have a growth board, all right, and this is supposed to be for fintechs, mature fintechs that want to go public. You know that the Nigerian Stock Exchange business listings are on boards. So we have the premium board where you have the really big companies, the main board, and then this growth board was created to create an opportunity for fast-growing, SMEs, tech startups that want to exit into, the public space. And you know that for investors, especially mature stage investors, Series C investors, one of their concerns is how do we exit? What are the opportunities for exit for this investment? And so the growth board provides a very good opportunity for exit, all right, for those investors when those ventures go public. And this also encourages investors of that stage, to take up stakes and throw their money at ventures in Nigeria and Africa. So the growth board has scaled down requirements for listing and capital raise. And if you go to our website, you can look up the requirements for the growth board and you can engage some more to see how you can take advantage of this. Apart from the growth board, we also have the Innovation Hub, right? The Innovation Hub is a well-structured world-class incubation and acceleration program. Okay, so for incubation, our focus is on idea stage companies, and the expected outcome is that you're able to go from your idea stage to an MVP, a minimum viable proof in the market, where you can have at least establish a product market fit for what you're trying to do. And then, of course, we have the acceleration program. The acceleration program is for ventures who've already tested and proved their offer in the market. They have a few customers and they want to scale. So we provide you support for, exponential scale. And sometimes in exchange for this support, we take equity. Today, as I've spoken to we engage over 150 fintechs, local, tech companies, tech startups, and we've actively supported about 35. We have active investments in about 5 of them. As we demutualize and change our structure to a group structure, we hope to do more in terms of this investment. And so some of the things you get from these programs is access to markets and strategic partnerships, strategic support for growth, especially exponential growth and scale. We are big on governance, and the last speaker mentioned governance. We help you with putting your governance together, advisory, business structuring. And then, of course, when you want to raise capital, we are there. Is it that we invest from our own portfolio, or we expose you to our partners, VC partners around the world, who are depending on our pipeline and recommendations for their investments. We offer continuous training and capacity building for founders and management team. And of course, in some cases, we give you access to co-working spaces, access to networks, to our partner accelerators, and hubs. Quickly, how do you come into these programs? Of course, we send you, we have a link that we'll share with you. You just put in your details and we ask a few questions, and then you come in for a conversation. Everybody who fills that link comes in for a conversation. And some people have come in and all they needed was that conversation. You know, all they needed was that perspective and that eye-opening conversation, and they've gone to do great things with their ventures. After that conversation, we decide whether you are for incubation or acceleration program. Based on your growth and your conduct, you can now decide to actively take up equity or stakes in your business. You know, so that's basically what we do. But for you to really understand our thinking about our intervention and support to this ecosystem, because I know I was told I have 5 minutes, so I need to begin to round up. We are thinking, the paradigm that drives our support is that it's easier to leverage abundance than to create it. It's easier to leverage abundance than to create it. So if you look at all the exponential technology we are seeing in this fourth industrial revolution, they are creating all sorts of abundance, all right? And companies, individuals, countries that are able to understand and leverage this abundance can create stupendous wealth and value for themselves. If you look at Uber, for instance, they simply leverage abundance of cars and drivers. All right, Airbnb, abundance of living spaces, spare living spaces. Google, abundance of information. And just organizing this information has created a stupendous value for Google. Facebook leverage an abundance of the need for us to connect. We're all born social, so they leverage that abundance. Page start to come back home. Pick an easy way to collect from their customers and to monetize their services. All right. Can you still hear me?
Yes, very clearly.
Okay, great. And then, of course, Bet Nigeria, for instance, if you look up internet traffic in Nigeria, Google is number 1, Bet Nigeria is number 2. People who are not in this country would wonder why that is so. Bet Nigeria even has more engagement. People spend more time there than they spend on Google. And that's because of an abundance of people who want to hammer. So when you look around our environment, what abundance do you see? Because the way you leverage those abundances would determine how you can grow, especially exponentially. And we look at these things when you come to us to have conversations about support. So we have an abundance of young people, young population, an abundance of venture aspiration, all right, different government intervention programs, supporting tech startups, empower and things like that. Abundance of challenges as a country and as a region, all right? Abundance of investor interest. It's so interesting to know that in 2019, over $500 million US came into Nigeria alone, the tech startup space. Even in the midst of COVID-19 in 2020, we had more deals than we had in 2019. Lower value, but more deals, more transactions in terms of investment. So we have abundance of, I've talked about government intervention programs. And you would think that with this blend of abundance, if there's abundance of venture aspiration and abundance of investor interest, there should be a collision somewhere. If I'm looking for you and you're looking for me, we should collide somewhere. But you still have founders say that they can't find funds to run their ventures. And so we know that there's a challenge somewhere, all right? And in trying to identify these problem areas, we know that some of the founders, there's a knowledge gap in terms of capacity in some founders. Even some investors complain that there's no data. They want to come in with their fund, but they can't really come in. And some of the ventures they're seeing cannot really attract their funds. Of course, we know that our educational system, the way it's structured today, does not really prepare young people for venturing. People go to school to study all sorts of things. You need to be a doctor, study medicine, go to law school to be a lawyer. But people feel they can succeed in venture by just venturing. It doesn't work like that. There's a way to venture right. And so one of the things we do is your value is just the fact that we need to talk with you first. Let's even determine that it's money you need. What kind of money do you need? What are the terms? And then how do you deploy these funds so that you can grow and be sustainable? So we prioritize engagement, we prioritize capacity building, and finally, just to give you some idea of what's important to us, when we have conversations with you, we look at potential of what you want to do, all right? However, apart from the potential, which is how you perform in the market, We also look at the fit. So why are you the right person to do what you are doing? Why are you, the right founder? What's the connection between you and what you are trying to do? And this connection sometimes must go beyond money. We must be able to establish that connection to onboard you onto our programs. I think my time is up now, and I'll drop it here. And then if you want us to engage some more, of course, I'm still on the call, and we can exchange ideas. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. That's very, very insightful. There are a couple of questions in the Q&A. Maybe you could just look at them, and then when we get to Q&A session, Mrs. Tonbofa, same with you, ma. There are questions there that we think you need to address. Please help look through them as we then take the next presenter. The next presenter is Mr. Dolapo Agbaje. He once told me, I don't know about AP's partner. AP's partner actually investing in more advanced startups, but we want them to be here to tell us, how our startup can scale to that level that we can deserve your investment. I will just leave the floor to Mr. Dolapo Agbaje to run us through briefly. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, as always, and thank you, Fintech Nigeria, for having APIS Partners and myself here. Really always inspired by what the association is doing and the support it gives to the community. Just a brief background. I will try and keep it short. As Sheon mentioned, APIS Partners is a financial services and fintech focused investor. We invest across target geographies of Africa and Asia. We manage approximately $1 billion, which we deploy across those regions. And really, we're aiming to support entrepreneurs in scaling their business. Maybe once you've been through Mr. John in Nsikak's incubator and you received a bit of funding from him, your product is proven, and what's left is you want to become, whether it's a market leader in Nigeria or a regional player or even a Pan-African player, or maybe you're a payments business and you want to add a lending product, or you want to add a peer-to-peer product, we would invest at that stage. Just to give a sense, our definition of financial services and fintech is quite wide. We typically bucket them into 6 categories. So credit and savings, or 5 categories: credit and savings, insurance, payments, service providers, which is anyone providing technology or services to any one of the main kind of financial services subsectors. And then the final one is capital markets. To give a few examples of where we've supported businesses to scale and maybe make the way we approach investments a bit more real. We'll give an example of a company that we invested in about 4 or 5 years ago. They're called Direct Pay Online. They are actually based in East Africa. They facilitate the acceptance of online payments. And when we invested in them, we wrote our initial check was sub $5 million. But what did we see with them? We saw an opportunity across Africa where there wasn't a single provider that would support businesses in accepting online payments. So if you're Jumia, you have to integrate with multiple people, whether it's in Nigeria, Flutterwave in Nigeria, another business in East Africa, another business in Southern Africa. So we saw an open space. We found one company, invested in them. Back when we invested, they were processing maybe in the low tens of millions of dollars in total transaction value. Over a period of 3 or 4 years, we supported them in expanding from 3 countries at the time to 19 countries across Africa. We also made 4 or 5 additional acquisitions. Now the business processes over $2 billion in transactions a year, and we recently signed an agreement to sell them. So that's a case where there is a proven product. we started off with a profitable player and supported them in becoming a Pan-African champion. I mean, I can go through other examples across our portfolio, but that really gives a sense of how we invest. I guess maybe to abstract it a little bit in terms of what we would look for when we're approaching businesses. I think one of the biggest challenges in our markets actually is access to data and credible data to validate whatever business plan or opportunity you have in front of you. And I find when talking to entrepreneurs, I think the ones that I get the most excited about are the ones that have a good handle on, how big can my business really get, right? What's the market size? And also have a good handle on how exactly they're making money. So their unit economics, for each whatever it is I'm selling, widget I'm selling, how much am I making and how many widgets do I have to sell to eventually become a sustainably profitable business. So that's in a nutshell. I mean, I don't want to take up too much time, but that's a brief overview on Apis Partners, an example of the kind of ways in which we invest and the things we typically look for in the entrepreneurs we back. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's so direct, straight to the point. Yeah, so I mean, the next speaker, the next facilitator is from Future Africa, especially for the female innovators on the call. Future Africa recently declared that they will be looking more at investing in female innovators. So you really want to hear them out. The facilitator from Future Africa is Adenike Sheriff. Adenike is the principal at the organization, and she's done a lot across, provision of capital, coaching, community, creating community for mission-driven innovators across Africa. She's had almost 2 decades of experience in technologies across the continent. So I just give the floor to Adenike to really run us through the offerings or investment opportunities at Future Africa. Over to you, Adenike.
So I think that Sheon probably dropped off. His network must have been
Thank you so
faulty.
much.
Go ahead, Adenike, please.
Can everyone hear me? Okay, great. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure and an honor to be here among the amazing innovators building really exciting stuff. My name is Adenike Sheriff, and like Mr. Sheon said, I work as principal at Future Africa. I'm just going to give a brief overview of what we do at Future Africa and how we provide capital, coaching, and community to innovators who are solving Africa's most difficult problems and challenges. Future Africa essentially, first of all, is a platform, and we invest in companies across different sectors and mostly at the seed and pre-seed stages, which means from idea stage where you have like a minimum viable product, to when you build out your idea, you have a bit of traction, and we would sometimes do follow-on funding for the Series A stage. In terms of our funding opportunities available, we're always taking pitches and talking to amazing founders building stuff. I think that one thing that I need to share with prospective startups, if you're applying to pitch investors, you need to be patient with the process, because sometimes you need to establish that relationship first. Keep us in the loop with your progress. Let us see how you grow, how you think about the problems, how you think about solving them, because sometimes we meet companies, we may not write a check immediately we meet them, but after getting regular updates from them for about 6 to 8 months, it then becomes really clear what they are building and how we can come in and help them to provide value. We've done a couple of investments in the fintech space. Our general partner founded Flutterwave, so it's a space that we really, really understand and are excited about. We're even more excited about what we like to call adjacent fintech. So not just remittance platforms or money sending platforms or neobanks, but API platforms, insurtechs, credit and lending businesses that essentially are building the data infrastructure that will make it easier for people to build new fintech companies. In terms of how to access funding by Future Africa, you can just send an email to funding at Future Africa. You get a response from us, and we will add you to our pipeline, which means that we'll add you to the pool of companies that we're currently reviewing. And after we've had a chance to take a look at what you're building, we'll probably reach out and ask you to have a meeting with us where we can dig a little deeper, learn more, and just establish that relationship that I spoke about. When we do decide to invest, we write checks from $25,000 for the really, really early stage ideas. That's the least amount you get from us, to up to $350,000, so the check size really is not fixed. Depends on the stage you're at, how much you validated your idea, your experience as a founder, and your current needs at the moment. I took a look at the companies who will be pitching for us today. I think that some of you are building really exciting stuff, and I'm really keen to learn more. Thank you so much once again for having me.
Thank you very much. I mean, it's been a blend of organizations supporting ideation and pre-seed stage, and we have a more advanced stage in AP's partner, while we have stock exchange, in between. So I mean, there's no limit to how far the startups can go. Just a matter of how viable your product is, how well you are packaged yourself, and how ready you are for the investors. Clearly, there is funding, there is investment out there looking for startups that are fit and products that are fit for it. Thank you, Adenike. I will just briefly, while we'll crave your indulgence, speakers, to please go through the questions. We will soon begin to, come back to you to address those questions and other questions. We're also enjoying participants to please drop their questions at the Q&A. And if you want specifically, you may address it to any of the speakers. We'll just briefly, 5 minutes, take a few startups who will just run us through their product.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, sirs. Good morning, Mars. My name is Ashimi Tonbofa. I represent Online Examination Simulation Limited. And the name of our product is Online Education System. So what is online education system? It's a system that actually helps us to have a continuous learning, whether through whether you are home, whether you are in school, wherever you are, you can continue having. Your education is continual, and that means it can be used by even organizations outside the school sphere. Environment. So I would like to say that we reach out to people on this education via the video conferencing system. We have our own set-created video conferencing system. We have a radio communication. We can integrate radio communication into our system. We have online practice. We even have a challenge, a USSD challenge, in which you can use to reach out to more people in the interlands for testing and answering and testing of themselves. And also we have a full classroom, and we can help our stakeholders to bridge the gaps within within the education system. They don't have to wait till the end of the term before they know how their students are performing. So aside that, our target market is to the student, to the school, to the teachers, administrators, institutions. It could be banking, institutions that running educational system. It could be even government and ministry level. We have a module in the system that can actually help to address that can help to look and oversee what is going on in the schools on the system, and it can also be used by NGOs. So, and we are looking at, with the population of all the students in Nigeria is up to, if not more than 30 million students, but we know it's up to 30 million students. based on the past review we've done on the site, and we are just looking at a percentage of them, a market share of them of maybe 15,000 students, which we know that will be able to give us a value. I mean, a value that we feel will smile at when going back to the bank. So we are looking at 30 million students, and serviceable parts market, it should be like 3 million out of them, which could amount to 3 billion naira at 1,000 if you are doing student by student. I mean, if you're doing it, each student that is connecting to it. But we can also go another route by saying, okay, if I want to address it from a school perspective, so the cost can drop for the student, so that they'll be able to, everybody can be reached. And what do we need the money for? We are looking at operational cost. We're looking at the cloud storage, because we are doing a video conference. We have a video conferencing that is integrated like Zoom. And if you have to do that, we are going to need a lot of servers. And we are also looking at technical support. We intend to service all our schools, like 3 per an admin person. So this is going to, cost is going to come on that. That means like a salary. And marketing, which is a key part of it, and that's why a lot of people are not, they're just coming out, but we need a lot of money to pump into marketing. And so the traction we have right now, we presently talking with the Lagos State government. We are talking also with the Babcock. Some of them have started using it inside there. We have like close to 6 schools using our products right now, and that's our traction. This is a video, but I don't think you'll be able to see it. Of course, we have competitors. The competitors are the likes of Google, which you've talked about, but we felt that what Google is doing is still a bit diverging, but we put everything together with our system. Our system put everything in one, is a one-stop shop for everything about education. And so what are we looking for? I'll quickly, because of my time. We are looking at, okay, so this is our forecast. We are saying that our expenses for a month, it's like for a year, it's like 26 million. Our gross income can be like the rate of 142 million if you go the school way, instead of using it per student. And our capital expenses by the end of the day is like 42 million naira. So this is our milestones, and now we intend to get our work done. And we are looking at 46 million for, this is what we need from the investors. The investor, and we feel everybody, we are available to reach out to everybody, and everybody benefits from it, because education is not one person's thing.
Thank you. Thank you. Your time is up. Yeah, I think, of course, we'll make available the contact details.
Okay.
So that you can further engage them with, a full deck of your product. Center will be Galos. Galos is a poultry technology support organization. So please, over to you, the CEO of Galos, to make your presentation within 5 minutes.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Okoyemi Alaro, and I'm the CTO of Panelist, working on the Galos project. If you permit me, I'm going to be sharing my screen, where I will be going through my pitch deck. Okay, so Galos is a poultry management software as a service. And the idea behind the platform is, there's a company called Pallet Hub Limited that was registered in December 2019. And the objective of the company is to apply information technology to crop and livestock production for increased productivity. The team behind Pallet Hub revolves around 3 people. There's myself, Opengi Alarum. I'm a web developer. I'm an economist and I'm a chartered accountant as well. The CEO is Bumi Alaron. She's a serial entrepreneur who basically is involved in the sales of condiments, foodstuff, and processed agricultural products. While the Chief Operating Officer is Olufemi Daudo, he has over 25 years experience as an engineer in the FMCG sector. 15 of those years he spent with Guinness Nigeria, where his last role was as a lead expert in the implementation of SAP for the Diageo group in Nigeria and I think West Africa. So what's the problem that Gallos is trying to solve? In Nigeria currently, very few poultry farmers turn a profit due to improper management practices. They are unable to source quality inputs, maybe because of lack of information. There's a general lack of knowledge on best practices. However, the environment is one poultry, livestock, eggs, and meat. This is emphasized if you actually get a copy of the Nigerian Agricultural Commercial Policy. There's actually, the policy states clearly that there's a shortfall in the supply of chickens. As at then 2016, it was estimated that the supply was 440 million tons, but the demand as at then was 200 million birds. 200 million birds. However, despite this, the environment is still one where individual poultry farmers are still struggling to make a profit. So what solution is Gallos providing? A software solution that will provide information on best practices, would offer quality inputs and provide training, as well as data collection and analysis. Eventually, the platform will also be able to provide market access opportunities for existing poultry farmers. So essentially, poultry farmers can use the platform to track their production. At the same time, because all poultry farmers are on that platform, it will be easy for them to access markets without, they can focus on production and just be able to attract buyers. The model is based on a project that Femi Daudo, our CEO, started to implement after he retired from Guinness. He actually went into poultry farming and utilized his experience in engineering as well as in IT, but was focused on basically extracting Excel models for at what point would he be able to determine if his poultry was profitable. So he was able to come up with 4 modules, an Excel module that tracks production as well as finances, a module that tracks feeding with regards to what are the appropriate stages to feed what kind of feed products to your birds and at what time during the production cycle, a medication program where you provide the right medication for your birds and what time, and then a module that looks at the production cycle as a whole. Currently, he advocates for broilers, for chickens, for the purpose of meat, an 8 weeks to a 10-week production cycle. The idea behind the Gallos program is to migrate from the Excel-based model that has been developed to a software as a service where poultry farmers subscribe and are able to get access to this information as well as track their products. We believe the strength of the project is the use of data analysis and the availability of real-time information. However, there's a weakness within the Nigerian economy with regards to resistance to technology. However, there's an opportunity because there's a growing demand for poultry products, meat and eggs. But still, we need to be conversant of government policy which changes very erratically, as well as competition from what we term big poultry, because the environment allows people who can operate at large scale to be profitable, but small scale poultry farmers still find it difficult. Our product is data centric. We'll be providing training as well as information services. We'll also be able to provide input sourcing because we said one of the problems that poultry farmers have is access to quality inputs. So because of us being a centralized platform, we'll be able to attract the users of quality inputs who would be willing to, who would want to access poultry farmers on our platform to sell them quality. We'll also be able to provide market information with regards to spot and forward opportunities. So people can buy the products of our customers on the spot, or they can bid for it in terms of a forward kind of interaction. For a start, we propose a subscription-based plan where initially, in the development of the prototype, the basic platform will be free. Eventually, we intend to also provide additional services for the pro and for premium. The prototype is under development. You can actually see our work in progress on the www.panelist.com/gallos. If we are able to acquire seed funding, seed capital, we're trying to target getting 1,000 subscribers in the first year of product launch. Our competitors right now, poultry farmers within the economy, are using off-the-shelf accounting software. There's also an app, right? Okay, so that's just about it. Basically, we're seeking seed funding to complete our prototype and acquire at least 50 users to test our. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Thank you very much. The next startup we will take is PayChange. PayChange is a peer-to-peer fintech payment platform. And we have Hussein here, Hussein Aziz, who will run us through the 5-minute presentation. Meanwhile, the facilitators are also allowed to ask questions, but we'll soon get to that session. So over to you, Aziz.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm trying to share my screen.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, so my name is Aziz Hussein, and I'm the founder of PayChange. What we've done here is that we've kept the presentation of the background. So we are looking at the fintech products, looking at solving financial issues like in terms of banked, unbanked, and underbanked population. We believe that the potential of the fintech market remains untapped, and we hope this presentation will help us see like a insight into the market. So what we've discovered is that most problems for small businesses with the impact of COVID has limited them to how they get cash flow in, how they manage cashless transaction and receive payment. And we also discovered that most small business struggle with capital growth to grow their business. We are looking at low income earners, how they receive payment. Our case for change is with the high demand of mobile phone, smartphone penetration, we've made it possible for you to convert your smartphone into a POS. With zero capital involved, you can actually get money to your bank account. You can drive in more revenue using your smartphone. How it works is we have a platform on both iOS and Android, where you download from either your Play Store or App Store. You onboard as a merchant or a customer that wants to pay the merchant. You get a QR code that's connected to your local bank, and you can automatically withdraw money to your bank for free. Our unique selling point is that we are focusing on micropayment at the moment. We want to target people at the bottom of the pyramid. We are looking at driving financial inclusion for the underbanked and unbanked. And to do this, we are looking at cost-effective models that will be friendly for both parties. Our target markets would include merchants. So we are looking at logistic merchants, a very wide scale of delivery, logistics, bikes, buses. We're also looking at food chain in terms of where people eat. We are looking at the case study of average smartphone users, how they spend their day. We have millennials, young professionals. Then we also have payment. So there's been a lot of digital restriction in terms of how you make online payments today, how you pay for your Apple Music. Alternative payment method has been very scarce. As of today, you can't make certain payments using your your debit card. I believe in the future there's going to be need for alternative payment method for online and digital payment. Okay, we also have like trade. We are looking at traders generally. We want to see how we can balance, give high value offerings to small business in terms of daily reports of revenue. How do we increase your daily revenue? How do we grow your business? Which kind of data can we use both in the short and medium term to be able to give you access to credit that could grow your business? Benefits to merchants. So, like I said, before now, for you to become digital small business, you either need to develop a website, you either need to pay a certain amount of money to get connected to certain APIs. But today, with just your mobile phone, you can actually become like a digital business. For local bank transaction, we make it free for you as a bank, and we believe that as a small business, you shouldn't be leaving your business to go to the bank to deposit your income. We believe it should be convenient from your place of work. We also believe that we are providing value to existing ecosystems. So for a bank now, we are increasing deposits from small businesses that would have previously had to come to the bank, line up and make deposits. We also believe that this will also help customer acquisition, as for you to, we are like a middleman. We facilitate payments to all banks, and we are not looking at being participants. Our business model revolves around withdrawal fees, payment fees, charges on transactions. Traction so far, we launched our beta and we have 7,000 users and we've done over 30 million transactions. These are some of our reviews of our customers, what their customers have to say. We are looking at a seed round of over 500,000 in terms of equity or debt. These are some of the team members, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. I see. So the next presenter will be Crediometer, represented by Mark Adewumi. Crediometer is the lending for the unbanked platform. Over to you, Adewumi.
2 years ago, a woman who sold tomatoes in the African market committed suicide. Someone had stolen all her life savings. In Africa, over 350 million adults are still financially excluded. In Nigeria, over 50 million adults are still financially excluded. In Nigeria, over 50 million adults are still financially excluded. 95% of Nigerians currently have no access to credit from a reputed financial institution. 60 million Nigerians cannot read or write, yet need access to financial services. Having been one of the victims of this problem, after the death of that woman who sold tomatoes in the African market, who was my mother's best friend, myself and my co-founder came up with 2 solutions called Credit Cash and Credit Card. Credit Cash allow individuals who ordinarily have no access to financial services because they cannot read or write, because of the distance to the closest banking hall, have access to financial services. Financial services that include deposits, withdrawal, and as well monitor their spending analysis. Again, we have a product called Credit Card, which is almost to an ATM, which allows our customers to make withdrawal on any ATM machine, make payments, and as well make withdrawal on any POS. Our market strategy, when we reach our customers, is we using registered agents and banking outlets. What we do is we deploy the Crediometer agent app to individuals, registered individuals who live in that community. These individuals using the Crediometer app go directly to the doorsteps of those who are on bank to carry out financial services. This solution is driving financial services to the grassroots citizens. Again, we deploy this Crediometer app to filling stations and gas stations, which act as our banking outlets, allowing individuals or business owners who want to make deposits, who cannot read or write, yet needs to make transfer, needs to make withdrawal, who can walk up to a petrol station, noticing that almost every street in our community in Nigeria have a petrol station. And this petrol station or gas station always are available every day, including Saturdays and Sundays, even when most banks are closed, allowing individuals to our business owners to have access to financial services. Our business model is a 3.5% service charge on total deposit per month. And our traction since inception, we've reached over 6,000 users with an average of 1,000 daily users. 58% of our current users are women and they are business owners. 65% of those who use our services cannot read or write. These are market men and women, these are farmers, these are artisans. They are drivers who own businesses. And we've given over 78% as credit with 0% interest rate. Again, with 0% interest rate, with no collateral or guarantor. Rather, our uniquely data-driven credit board. And with this credit board, we've recorded 95% recovery rate on credit issued. And our ask, we are seeking for 150K investments, which we will be disbursing to business owners. Our solution is similar to what Breast.com in US and Mercury.com in US. But our difference is Breast is using companies' valuation and they focus on tech startups to give our credit at 0% interest rate as well in US. But we are leveraging on our uniquely designed credit board to study business owners based on their competency and capacity to give a short-term loan of 31 days with 0% interest rate. And an average loan we disburse to business owners is 30,000, and the highest we've given so far to a single business owner is ₦1 million. Myself and my co-founder, my name is Adenike George. I'm the technical lead, and my co-founder is Olushola. Our core team is made up of experts in the financial industry.
Thank you, George.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, George. So 0% interest rates and non-collateral lending platform. That's
Yes.
great. I'm sure the investors have questions to ask on that. Yes, the second to the last startup is Rexstar. Bello Rukayat here. We're just going to do that within 4 minutes. Over to you, 5 minutes rather. Over to you, Rukayat.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
My name is Bello Rukayat, and here with me is Afiz Olalekon, my co-founder. So we are starting to pitch our business now. We live in an interconnected society where anybody can pick up a phone to talk to anybody anywhere in the world, irrespective of their level of education or exposure. But financial services remain disconnected, which leads to increase in poverty and hunger, most especially in Africa. 3 years ago, my mom needed to borrow some funds to support her business and her family. She approached a microfinance bank here in Lagos, but her loan was rejected because of the following reasons. She was told she had no credit history. That's the number one reason. She was told to look for a group number of people between 10 to 20 and to save for a minimum period of 3 months. Number two, my mom was able to gather some of her friends, but majority of them had no utility bills and regulatory IDs because they were geographically disadvantaged, meaning they had no chance at all in any commercial and microfinance bank in Nigeria. The third problem is even the interest rate is as high as 240% per annum. My mom is just one out of 2 billion people globally that are unbanked, and her business is just one out of 42 million micro businesses that are financially excluded, amounting to $5.2 trillion missing annually in the financial sector, and that is ×4 of the current level. We at Rexstar Global Services are just targeting 10% of the market.
Yeah, as you said, over 80 million people in Nigeria have no chance at all to any financial services. And that is why we are seeing that they are being neglected in the society. But in Rexstar, we are building the first financial app as a financial technology that would provide digital solutions to the unbanked and micro businesses in Africa. And our solutions are tailored towards 5 C's. The first one, we call it digital customized data, where we aggregate the social and financial data of these unbanked and micro businesses through our platform. And the second one is called credit assessment. After collecting this information, then we are going to award credit scores to them based on the information they made available to us. For example, if they provided, some of them, they don't have regulatory ID like you said, and that means they have no chance. But through what they have given, or maybe they belong to an association, they have an association ID, or they have a cooperative, or they have a school fees that they've been paying for. If they are able to make those documents available to us, we are going to onboard them, and we are going to award credit score based on that, and they will have access to our credit. Then the third one is digital credit history, where we are going to create credit history for our clients based on the social lending. Our social lending, we have microcredit, we have zero hunger, and we have others like asset financing and so on. And the maximum we give is 50,000 naira. And through this, after creating the credit history for them, once we have a user base, any financial institution can access our data for credit information. And through that, they can also lend to them at very low affordable rates above what we have been giving. And finally is monitoring. We do credit monitoring and reporting, where to guarantee the safety of our partners' portfolios, we ensure that we monitor and report the activities of the business of our clients through our platform. Our business is modeled B2C and B2B. Through the B2C, we make money through credit, through the interest on loan, application fees, and so on. And for the B2B, we make money through credit check, credit monitoring, and reporting.
In the last 2 years, we've onboarded over 600 customers. We've disbursed over $163,000 with gross profits of over $17,500. We've supported over 2,500 people directly or indirectly, and we've opened commercial bank accounts to 100 of our customers. Our 5 years projection, by 2025, we would like to increase our balance sheet size to over 5 billion naira and our customer base to over 500,000. Our competitive analysis. We are different because we digitize our solutions primarily for the informal sector so that they can be financially successful. And we also provide social impact to cater for their needs, for their financial and social needs of the informal sector.
We are asking for $100,000 for us to invest in technology so that we can use it to drive our vision and to scale our business to 1,000 people in 2021.
Thank you very much.
In my team. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, the last but not least that will be pitching this afternoon is our phone POS. You know, phone POS is a mobile phone POS service, and Mr. Olaneye Adeosun will be anchoring the brief pitch. Over to you. Okay. Well, I assume maybe it's not ready yet, so we will just go straight away to Q&A. A couple of questions.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, okay, we can.
I think I had my microphone muted.
Okay,
good afternoon, everybody. My name is Olaneye Adeosun, and I'm the founder CEO of Phone POS Technologies Limited. Our solution is such that from now you can now convert your mobile phone to POS and offer agency banking services. Our solution is USSD powered, web and SMS. So how do we come about this solution? This solution is driven largely by myself, that as a founder, CEO, and a product developer. I'm also an accountant and an ex-banker. With me is David Ezenzaga. He's actually my CTO. He's seated right beside me here. He's a web developer and a serial entrepreneur. And of course, we have a team of other developers that work with us in our team. So what is the problem we're trying to solve? In the agency banking space now, as of 2021, you find out that there's a whole lot of employment. You understand? That's why people are going into POS, and you see a lot of people having POSs everywhere. But the truth about it is that there are a whole lot of challenges if you look at what is going on right now. So a lot of them do not have internet on their POSs, which is a big problem. Again, the cost of acquisition of a POS is actually very high, so people complain about that. Again, of course, the power issues on POS. You go to POS at times, the man tells you that, look, there's no electricity. Again, some of them tell you that they don't have cash. And of course, the ATM that we've always had, which was supposed to be a channel for getting funds, usually hear that it's out of service. Again, the worst of it all is that the rural population all right, across the country does not even have, they don't even have access to financial service, talk less of being able to access cash. So that's some of the things that our solution has come and solve. So our solution, a USSD web and SMS powered phone point of sales terminal service, the convenience of ease, access to cash within close proximity. So the services we offer: funds transfer, cash out, cash in, airtime purchase, bills payment, referral program. So how it works: people sign up, we do a KYC, we access the data, we verify the data, we train. Afterwards, they can start business. So what's our solution? It's called Phone POS. It's web enabled. It also drives, the operations drives on USSD and SMS. So when you talk about the market size, as we speak, you have about the total value of our POS transactions as of 2020 of about $746 billion. Then of course, when you look at the total number of serviceable, number of connected mobile lines in 2019, you have about 268.5 million mobile lines that are active lines. So we're looking at taking about 20% of that target market using our solution over a period of 5 years. So after that, what that simply means in figures is that our transactions share of the market will be at 1.492 billion. So when you look at an average amount of money, you understand, in terms of transaction fee, that's about 10 cents. So which will translate into about $149.21 million for a period of 5 years. Like I said earlier on, there are sources, these are the sources of our income. Funds transfer, we make money from funds transfer. We take a share of revenue from agents for cash out, for cash in, for accepting payments, for paying bills as well, and for merchant fund your wallet, which means that if you don't have money in your wallet as a merchant, you can actually pull in money from your bank account using our solution to fund your wallet and be able to service your customers. When you do that, we also make money from doing that. So when you look at now the competition today are commercial banks who have ATMs that are also going moribund, vis-a-vis the mobile money agents that are out there. All of these POSs are they would eventually go into extinction because of the hardware cost and all of that, repairs and maintenance. So Phone POS has come with a new innovation, the ubiquitous feature and smartphones. Our solution works with the 3,000 naira phone. It works with the Android phone. So any kind of phone you hold, you can convert to mobile phone using our service. So when you look at the competitive advantage, our solution is a new innovation, is the first of its kind. We give better incentives. Interestingly, women that sign up on our service, we give them 15% discount, because part of the concerns of CBN is the fact that women are financially unempowered. So for us to be able to encourage women to get into financial inclusion, we give them a discount to be able to sign up, and it's for life. Again, the fact that it's easy for them to use is the mobile phone, they're used to it already. Like I said, a phone that is 3,000 naira can use our service. Interestingly, again, is that we have an intellectual property protection. When we started this service, we did a copyright for our service such that nobody copies our idea. So again, we have a merchant referral program where people can actually refer people and earn income. Then, like I said, the 15% incentive for all women. Then, of course, the fact that it applies on every type of mobile phone with or without internet. So you don't need internet to be able to operate our service. So market adoption. Everybody that signs up with a paltry sum of 10,000 naira it's a one-time fee. And again, for the first 1,000 signups that we have, we give them 15% discount. And for life, any female that signs up gets a 15% discount credited to their wallet just to encourage them into doing that. For us to do that, we're going to be leveraging on all forms of social media, SMS, Facebook. We're going to be doing training of people from one region to the other. It's going to be a lot of work. Mass media is there, radio is very strong. Our solution is a grassroots solution. So we're going to be doing radio programs on, using local languages and all that to be able to reach out to people. So our traction to date. Now we have a corporation registered in the US as a Delaware corporation. We have a corporate registered. We have 60 people signed up. We have an agreement with a cluster of existing agents. We have our agency banking licensing sorted out. We are post proof of concept, product market fit. Recently, late last year, like the Oga from this thing said, from NSE said, even in the midst of COVID, we were still able to raise some money. We raised about 7.8 million naira. That's a 5-year tenure from Adenike CBN. This is facilitated for us in October last year. We have set up an operations office in Lagos here. We're hiring staff, which is work in project, who are supposed to be our customer service staff. So as we speak, we're trying to raise money to be able to
Yeah, thank you very much. I think most of the questions have been attended to by the facilitators, but I don't know if any of the facilitators want to ask questions, from any of the startups that have pitched.
Yes, thank you, moderator. Can you hear me?
Yes, please, very clearly.
So I have a question for the first startup and the last one, and then of course, the comments I will make, of course, the other startups could take 1 or 2 things from it. So congratulations to all the startups. It's not easy to venture, and we're all very proud of you and what you're doing. I always tell people that a good idea executed today is better than the best idea executed next week. So once you're able to venture and break the ice, I'm always very proud of our young people.